In this scene, a rich lady falls in love with a teenage boy who's actually a girl in disguise. There's lies, laughter, love at first sight, and a ring she gives back that was never given in the first place. You're going to get a full summary, character breakdowns, key quotes, and information about themes that you can use in your essays, and that juicy moment Olivia starts crushing on Cesario hard. Stay to the end for a surprise twist. And if you find this helpful, please don't gatekeep. Share it with your friends, subscribe, and like. Let's get into it. This is one of the longest and most important scenes in the play. It begins in Olivia's house, where her maid and personal assistant, Maria, is reprimanding Fest the Fool for his long unexplained absence. But who is Fest? And why did Olivia even have a jester like Fest? Back in Shakespeare's time, there were no TVs, there was no radio, no TikTok, no Netflix, nothing like that. If you were rich, you couldn't just scroll for entertainment. Instead, wealthy families like Olivia's hired jesters, also called fools, to keep everyone entertained. But jesters weren't just clowns telling jokes. They were smart, clever, and often the only people allowed to speak the truth to the rich. Olivia kept Fest around not just to make her laugh, but to challenge her ideas when no one else would. And since Olivia is in mourning for her brother, Fest helps lift her spirits and makes her reflect without being rude. He's like her personal entertainer and low-key therapist. So Maria, Olivia's loyal servant, is grilling Fest the Fool for going MIA. He's been missing for a while with no explanation, and she's threatening to rat him out to Olivia. But Fest, being quick-witted, distracts her by teasing her about her little flirtations with Sir Toby. She wants him to hush and storms off. This little back and forth gives us, the onlooker or the reader, insight into the secret lives of the servants. Maria's got feelings for Sir Toby, just like Viola has secret feelings for Orsino. Everybody is hiding something. Now, Olivia shows up wearing black and in full mourning for her dead brother. She's still refusing Duke Orsino's love messages and wants to send Fest away. But Fest isn't going down that easy. He flips the situation and says she's the real fool for crying over someone who's happy in heaven. Surprisingly, that makes her laugh. But Malvolio? Total mood killer. He calls Fest a stupid fool, and Olivia claps back. Malvolio's the one she thinks is full of himself. And in a play about love and joy, Malvolio only loves one thing: himself. Alright, let's pause for a sec because this is a big moment. This right here is the first time we meet Malvolio. And trust me, he is a whole vibe. A very stiff, no jokes, no smiling, I'm better than everyone kind of vibe. Malvolio is Olivia's steward, which means he's kind of like her head butler or her house manager. But don't be fooled, he acts more like he owns the place. From the jump, he disses Fest. He calls him a useless fool, but Olivia isn't having it. She puts Malvolio in his place and basically says, lighten up. And that's Malvolio in a nutshell. In a play where almost everyone is falling in love, laughing, disguising themselves, or partying, Malvolio stands out because he's completely humorless. And spoiler alert, his seriousness is going to get him into some serious trouble later on. Maria brings news that a young gentleman is at the gate asking to speak with Olivia. She guesses he's from Orsino and tells Malvolio to get rid of him. Cue Sir Toby, Olivia's drunk uncle, staggering through. Now, we met him in my last video about Act 1, Scene 4, and you may remember his drunkard scheming ways. Olivia was fed up of him then, and she's still fed up of him now. You can check out that video with this link right up here if you like. So, Olivia scolds him for being drunk so early, and Fest says Toby is on the third stage of drinking, so drunk he might drown. Olivia then sends Fest to look after him. But who is the gentleman? Malvolio returns and says the guy just won't leave, no matter what. Olivia now becomes curious and starts asking questions like, what's he like? They say, well, not quite a boy, not quite a man. He's handsome, well-spoken, but looks fresh out of daycare. This mystery man is, of course, Viola, disguised as Cesario. And that not quite a man youthful look is really because he is actually a she. Now we know that Cesario is actually Viola, but the characters in the play don't, which is called dramatic irony. Dramatic irony is a great dramatic device to discuss in your literature essays because Shakespeare uses it to portray several of the play's themes. There's a video on my channel which gives you a great amount of information on dramatic irony and how to use it in your essays. Now back to the story. Olivia puts on a veil because why not turn this into a drama scene, and agrees to meet Cesario. Cesario walks in and asks to see Olivia in private, and Olivia agrees? What? Now you all have to understand that in Shakespeare's time, a high-status lady like Olivia would not normally entertain young men in private, especially once she just met. This was a major no-no. She was expected to have servants or a chaperone around at all times to avoid gossip or scandal. So when Olivia dismisses her attendants to speak alone with Cesario, it's a bold move and a big clue that she's already emotionally intrigued. When I saw this, I said, oh, I thought you were mourning, sis. I thought you weren't going to entertain any men for 7 years. Well, so much for that. Our next clue that something is up is when Cesario is able to convince Olivia to remove her veil. Then Cesario starts delivering his long poetic speech about Olivia's unmatchable beauty. Olivia's like, cut to the chase, what do you want? She is not impressed at all. Viola tries to continue the speech, but Olivia interrupts. She says it's too fake and too over the top, and I agreed because let's be honest, Orsino's speech was boring. Eventually, Viola says she's here on behalf of Orsino, who loves Olivia deeply and wants her to return his love. Olivia still isn't impressed with Orsino, but guess what? As if things in this play weren't complicated enough, she is very interested in Cesario. She asks Cesario what he would do if he loved a woman as much as Orsino loves her. And Viola / Cesario, who I always say has riz, drops this bomb. He says, I'd build a little shack outside your gate, cry to the hills, sing sad songs, and shout your name until the air itself begged you to love me. Olivia tells him he might be doing too much, but she is very impressed. Viola stays cool, polite, and refuses Olivia's offer of money. Olivia says Cesario should tell Orsino not to send any more messengers, unless it's Cesario again. Y'all see what's happening? After Cesario leaves, Olivia realizes she has fallen hard for him. She says, thy tongue, thy face, thy limbs. She's listing all the reasons she is obsessed with our girl in disguise, Viola. Then she calls Malvolio and lies. She says Cesario has left a ring behind, and she tells Malvolio to return it and make sure Cesario comes back tomorrow. The girl is plotting. So just to wrap up, what happens in this scene? Fest proves he has more than just jokes. He tells hard truths. Olivia starts acting with her heart, not just her head. Viola charms her way into Olivia's heart without even trying. And Malvolio, still no sense of humor. And Toby, still drunk. Love, identity, and confusion are all clashing in one room, and Shakespeare seems to be having a blast. Now here's where I really want your opinion. What are your thoughts about Olivia here? What do you think about her actions? Let me know in the comments. Let's take a moment to break down how each character comes across in this scene. Who are they really behind the drama, disguises, and jokes? Let's get into it. First, we'll do Fest. Fest may be called a fool, but he's one of the sharpest minds in the house. He's witty, always playing with words to make clever points, like when he tells Olivia, "Better a witty fool than a foolish wit." What's the translation? It's smarter to be a fool than a serious dummy. We can also describe him as perceptive. He sees right through Olivia's grief and says, "The more fool Madonna to mourn for your brother's soul being in heaven." Fest reminds us that grief can sometimes become self-indulgent, and he does it with style. Let's move on to Olivia. First, we'll describe her as intelligent. Olivia is intelligent as we see she keeps up with Cesario's language, questions his metaphors, and even jokes about inventories of her beauty. She's smart enough to play along with Cesario's flattery and even flip it back on him. But she's also impulsive. This is another word you can use to describe her. She falls hard for Cesario after just one conversation and says, "Even so quickly may one catch the plague." She compares love to a disease, sudden and uncontrollable. Olivia's emotions move fast, and she doesn't hide it. Now let's look at Viola as Cesario. First, we'll say that he is resourceful. Viola is a survivor. She's resourceful, disguising herself as Cesario to get a job with Orsino after being shipwrecked. And in this scene, she cleverly uses Orsino's message while slipping in a few of her own lines. When she says, "Make me a willow cabin at your gate," that's not from Orsino. That's Viola speaking from her own heart. We can also describe Viola as sincere. Even though she's pretending to be someone else, her feelings for Orsino and her compassion for Olivia are very real. Now let's see what we think of Malvolio. Malvolio can be first described as proud. Malvolio walks into this scene acting like he's above everyone. He's proud when he says of Fest, "I marvel your ladyship takes delight in such a barren rascal." He's basically calling Fest useless, even though everyone else finds Fest funny and wise. We can also describe him as rigid. He can't take a joke. He doesn't play along and always follows the rules except the rules of kindness. Olivia calls him out by saying, "You are sick of self-love." Translation, you're full of yourself. Now Maria. Maria is loyal, like I mentioned before. Maria is Olivia's right hand, loyal on top of everything. She's the one scolding Fest for disappearing. "Lady Olivia will hang thee for thy absence." She's also protective of the household and doesn't let anyone slack off. She also displays in this scene that she is sharp-tongued. When Fest starts teasing her about Sir Toby, she claps back fast. Their banter shows that she is no pushover. Alright, so each character in this scene reveals a little more of who they are through what they say, what they do, and what they hide. Whether it's jokes, love, or side eyes, Shakespeare makes sure everyone shows their true colors eventually. Now we're on to themes. This scene also introduces several of the play's central themes. Love and desire is one of them. We see this theme being portrayed with Olivia's attraction to Cesario and highlights the theme of sudden and irrational love. Her change of heart from mourning to infatuation is swift and shows how love in Twelfth Night is unpredictable and often superficial. Then we have the theme of disguise and identity. Viola's male disguise creates a lot of confusion and, as I mentioned before, dramatic irony. The audience knows who she really is, but the characters around her do not. This theme raises questions about how identity is constructed and perceived. Then, of course, we see in this scene the theme of fools and wisdom. Fest, though labeled as a fool, is actually one of the wisest characters in the play. This contrast challenges the audience's understanding of wisdom and folly or foolishness and reinforces the idea that social labels do not always reflect the truth. Woo! Okay, that was a lot. That was Act 1, Scene 5 fully unlocked. In this video, we looked at Olivia's sudden crush, Viola's secret identity, Fest's clever jokes, and Malvolio's grumpiness. And, of course, the drama of the fake ring. We broke down the whole scene, explained key quotes, and showed how every character brought the chaos in their own way. Now, if this helped you understand the madness behind the metaphors, please hit that like button and help my channel out by sharing with your friends and subscribe, because Act 2 is coming and Olivia is just getting started. See you next time. Bye.